storage. I'm just like, devil, get behind me. But anyway, I want to talk about validation and some of the trials we have when we're just living life, whether it be at your job, your neighbors, just anywhere. We talk about the balance of caring about other people. What's your intentions to, we're not responsible for another person's soul growth. Although we're responsible for our actions, we're responsible for our intentions and how we treat one another, of course. But there has to be a line drawn in the sand, period, point blank, of when do you say, listen, I am operating and living in my most potential of love, of self gratification, of what God has intended for me, and it is offensive to others. Where do we draw the line? I had someone talk to me about feeling bad about unfriending people on social media, or, changing their number, and people having opinions about that. And, I had to really think about that, because I used to be in that energy, in that space. And what I told this individual was, you are not responsible for someone else's soul growth. You're not responsible for someone else's mental health. You are responsible, you are responsible, I sound like a whole man there. You are responsible for how you put out love into the world. And if someone doesn't understand that, then that's some work that they need to do. Now, communicating with other people, yes, you still have an obligation to be respectful, in a loving manner. And sometimes we get out of that. Sometimes I know, especially with those who are close to me, sometimes I will get a little frantic or overwhelmed, and I may react instead of responding. And a lot of times if I react, probably like you guys too, if I react to something, it's probably not right, because I'm not taking the time to look at the situation and just work it through your mind, work it through your intuition, work it through the things that you've learned, whether that be 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 days, a couple of weeks, or whatever you need to respond to a situation. We're not doing that. And I know for me, when I let things pile up, if I don't process any kind of information that comes to me, whether it be a situation, whether it be my own doing of not doing something, piling up, and then something happens or someone says something and I react, and it's not in love. It's, I messed up. I reacted to someone and it wasn't my best Empress version I could give. I start to feel like, oh crap. Yeah, I need to go back and apologize. But where do we draw the line? And I think that we have to really look at how we live our lives. Caring about yourself a little bit more than you care about others is a necessity, right? And a lot of people say this. They use the airplane analogy, like, what do they say on the plane? Put your own oxygen on before you put on someone else's. And that's kind of the same thing. Breathe in your anointing. Breathe in the things that you've practiced first before you can help someone else. Because if you're walking around all high and mighty, all you're doing is reacting to things and you're not really showing God's love. And so for the validation of others, you have to really figure out your moral compass, your soul's compass of who you are, because you have to know every day through your own work that you're putting in for your soul's growth, where you stand. You have to know when, okay, this person is toxic. They're not trying to grow, so they can't go with me. I have to set that aside. Or this person is still in my life and I need to give a little grace and mercy. Not that I am the judger of all things, but you have to judge at some levels of your life to press forward. And I told this person about validation was, you have to have where you have validated yourself. You have had your devotion, your prayers, and you know that your validation and acceptance and your judgment comes from our Abba. It comes from above. And if it's anything other than that, aside from our earthly, you got an appraisal at work or something of that nature, if it's anything other than that, then it doesn't fit. It's not in the path that you're responsible for. You don't have control. And a lot of validation comes from control. Do you have control over the situation? And the person I was speaking with kind of said to me, it makes a lot of sense because you look for validation in other people and you care about what they think, but they never thought about the control aspect. You have to think about whether something is in your control. If it's not in your control, there can't possibly be a reaction, or I should say there can't possibly be where it equates to validation. You're almost stepping outside of what you're supposed to be doing by inserting yourself in something that you don't have control over. And I just kind of look at validation in a lot of different avenues in life, right? To be validated is to have self-worth, is to care about yourself, is to know who you are. You have to know that you're validated. You have to love yourself prior to, I'm not good with this stuff, so forgive me. You have to know who you are, and you have to be okay with that. If not, you're chasing all these different notions of what validation is and who cares about you and how is this situation going to affect you, when all that matters is how you conduct your own heart, your own soul's compass. So I hope that this helps someone out there understand that you are the validator of your soul. And the only way to get that validation is to first seek the kingdom, that our Abba is the only way to validating ourselves. I hope this helped you. If no one has told you that you're loved, know that I love you. Know that our Abba loves you, and I am sending you many, many blessings. Love and light.